one of the trends for 2019, I suspect, is going to be an increased rise in voice.
Yes.
And the Alexas and the Siris of this world, and more and more people are walking around with their earbuds in, and we're probably not a million miles away from that movie Her in some ways. So where the machine's going to be talking to us in what feels like an ever more human fashion, and our ability to truly discern between the two might start to get eroded. It's just a really interesting space, I think, to watch. And then how do you keep finding these human truths in a world in which it's harder to delineate between what is a human truth and what's something that's being delivered to me by a device, by a robot that I'm seeing on the internet, that I'm hearing in my ears. This isn't a fully baked thought, but I find that pretty interesting.
Yeah, there's no blueprint for the future. Yeah. We've kind of obliterated the past as we've, sort of raced towards digital innovation. We don't know where it's going to take us.
Yeah, but I think also that understanding of that, we're in a trend cycle, right? And I remember when, because I'm old, and when they started, it's MP3s is going to kill the record industry. It's like, well, the record industry is only 50 years old anyway. Like, it's not like you're talking that this is something that's millennia old. These things are going to change and evolve. But what's one of our biggest trends for 2019 is probably going to be audio, and that's definitely not new. I mean, it's packaged like it is, but it's no different to radio dramas or podcast in itself is 15 years old as a word. So. There are these kind of tip of the spear tech sort of projects that will be out there, but whether they work and resonate with people is a different matter. VR being another good example. I mean, all those growth projections were probably built on mobile phone projections. Well, actually, strapping something to your head is not necessarily practical for most people, and that's not quite there yet, which might explain some of the rise of voice. But as Jackie says, we don't know. But it'll be fascinating to look back on in 10 years and see which one of those did land.
Yeah, I think you all touched on, Harry, in particular, that whole piece between humans and the tech, right? That's it. It's not. I think you're right. The trends will continue to come around, and we will obviously develop new tech. But actually, from the past, we'll find history inserted into them. So actually, that human interacting with the technology is the key part, right?
It's a side point, but I did read a great piece with the production designer of Her, and the point being that technology and the design in that is that technology should cease to be technology. It shouldn't look like technology. It should just be a seamless part of your life. And I suppose voice is the most natural place where that's in existence kind of already, because you don't see it. It just is part of your life and how you move around the world.
I like that. We've touched on some trends for 2019, but I think one of the things I'd love to do is pick up a couple more trends, but also look at what you're seeing. We've been back, some of us 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week. What are the biggest challenges you're already seeing in 2019, and what do we have to be wary of, do you think, as we go forward through this year? Who wants to be brave and bold?
I mean, I can dive in, and I think it's still back to trust. And there are already questions raised around social media, for example, on the potential of a second referendum in the UK, and I think that speaks to trust around media and publishing, and I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon. That's going to be a challenge, and it's going to be a challenge for brands in terms of their alignment with publishers and advertisers. I think that's here for the foreseeable.
And I think with that trust, you've got a hesitation to make decisions. Because if you don't trust the information, or you don't trust what you're hearing politically, then you tend to, there's an inertia. You tend to not make the decision or jump in. So I think we're going to see hesitancy, as well as, trust is that big factor. Do you trust the news? Do you trust your social media feed? How do you make a decision if you don't trust the information that's coming your way? So I think that's key. and that links back to the authenticity, you know, with that. And I do think that will be, you know, and we're seeing that already in terms of, you know, brands talking to us, not necessarily on the fun and the splash side of things, you know, how can we do something really that's cut through, but, you know, how can we make a difference? How can we really make a difference in the world? And that's some of the things that we're seeing sort of very early on this year.
I think on the other side of that, where there isn't a hesitancy to make decisions, probably talking about more typically our audience of high net worth individuals who are looking to personalisation, customisation of services, whether it's in transportation, leisure travel, dining out, recreation, purchasing, you know, sort of buying your car, as we were talking earlier. I think where people have got the spending power to have a personalised experience or a personalised product, we'll see more of that. But that's on the sort of product, on the consumer side.
Which I think brings to mind, I don't know if this is one of the biggest challenges of 2019, but I think it's one of the biggest themes of 2019 is still privacy. So 2018, the year of GDPR, I think it raised all our consciousness a lot to that, and GDPR itself has brought about substantial changes to a lot of the elements of our industry. But it's almost another paradox. We have to get better at personalization. We have to all get better at utilizing data to help us make the right objective decisions. But at the same time, privacy, I think, is going to be one of those consumer trends that people become yet more cognizant of, and that there's going to be a combination of sort of self-regulating within the larger firms, the obvious larger firms, but there may well also be government regulation, further government regulation around that, and GDPR being spread more global and so on. So I do think kind of privacy is going to have a lot of impact on us over the course of the year. Yeah,
we've spoke with a lot of clients and companies around privacy, and kind of futurologies too, in what that means kind of culturally, and what the trade-off. I mean, we've kind of not slept walk is the wrong description maybe, but the kind of the trade-off between a free app that takes all your data is something that we always accepted, and maybe that will still be the case, but the kind of the luxury end of that, and to Jackie's point about high net worth individuals, you know, what you'll pay for in the future is privacy. And you know, historically we've assumed we have privacy. Well, actually, clearly we don't really anymore. And that will be one of those luxury commodities that is actually something you need to pay for to be able to play and enjoy all the benefits that these new tech bring.